Alright, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to play through the color challenge, and I'm going to try to augment what I think they're trying to give you as a tutorial here. Oh, out a swamp. We've got typhoid rats, 1/1 death touch. Any amount of damage a source with death touch deals to a creature is enough to destroy it. Play this first in case they flash out a creature and it die. Condition. Right at 1/1 uses this out. Compound fracture it. Kill it. Two of our guys here. +1/+1 counters. Now, if we were to cast this, it would give a creature -2/-2. I think we're just gonna applying pressure. Give this -2/-2. Team. Get it away. Pretty aggressive here. They have more of them. Trade. The other two guys. Alright. Do it. Compound fracture. More like compound interest. That was a good quick demo. Alright. White. So they're going to have creatures with lifelink. They're going to have cats and soldiers. Spies and all sorts of fun stuff. Play land for turn, and we have Planetarium Skeleton, a 1/2, 2 and a black. Return this from your graveyard to your hand, so recursion. Land. Back in. These are instants, so we can cast them on our turn. A 2/2. Got 2 spells. Destroy target creature with or less, or compound fracture. Target creature minus. So get value out of mana. Their shine. Here. Back in. 2 damage. So at our end step, our lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this. And do something tricky here. You can do this at instant speed. So if they choose right now, a 1/2 that doesn't have a durable attack into a 2/2, but because we have a trick in our hand, give target creature -1 turn. Effectively, this a 1/1 would be a favorable attack. Our 1. See how they manage to declare the block. Once the block is declared, cast our instant. Give this my 2 attacks into their 1/1. 1 damage to our 2 toughness, so our creature sticks around. And second main, go to end step, and that's when this effect triggers. We're gonna get as many points of damage. Our creature will die. It'll go to the graveyard, but we can cast or can activate its ability for 2 and a black to return it to our hand. So that's our recursion, and still have enough mana to cast it from our hand. Yep. They're gaining life. They're growing. A block. Alright. So this would give -2/-2. We'll just do that now. For their payoff card. Kill it before it grows. And attack in. This keeps feeding itself, so they're gaining life. They're still drawing their payout. will attack in. That die. This out. It's from. These both will grow. Flying or reach. Killed it. 16 life total. Data go to 12. Right. So, this game we demoed casting instance on our opponent's turn. Do that. So, combat trick. Reducing the stat line of our creature's opponents to get favorable exchanges in combat. Also showed recursion. So, activated ability of our sanitarium skeleton, return it from our graveyard, and just keep playing. We had our payoffs, flying payoffs are pretty good. Your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, +1/+1. So kept getting in. They didn't have an answer. On the deck we have Sanitarium Skeleton. This creature is a 2, so power 1, 2 toughness. So think of its strength and health. And it also has an activated ability. So separate from the pay 2 and a black to return this card from your graveyard to your hand. If this were to die, it goes to your graveyard, which is kind of your discard pile. Pay 2 and a black, and then you return it your graveyard to your hand. So the cards that are in your Typhoid Rats. This is a 1/1 for black. It has Death Touch. Death Touch means any amount of damage source with Death Touch deals to a creature is enough to destroy it. So destroy it means kill. So you can have a million, and this deals 1 point of Death Touch damage. It would kill it. So it's very powerful effect, very typically in cards green. Then 2 slots, so this costs 1 in a black. The Malakir Coldblade is a 1/1. Whenever a creature opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So +1/+1 is a kind of a form of a permanent. So typically around the card table you would use dice. So this would grow by a +1/+1 if a creature an opponent controls dies. So once a +1/+1 counter and a 1/1, it becomes a 2/2, assuming all of the +1/+1 counters stay on that card. Can be removed by some effects. Vampire Opportunist, a 2/1 for a 1 in black. A 2 power, so if it deals 2 power to anything with toughness 2 or less, it would kill it. And then it's got 1 toughness, so if it receives 1 point of damage, it would die. But it has an activated ability 6 in a black. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So assuming you have 7 mana, you can activate this anytime this creature's out. Mardu Outrider is a 1 black 5/5, so very powerful power and toughness stat line. It comes with a downside. The condition needs to be met to cast, so as an additional cost, discard a card. So you have cards in your hand, you're gonna have to put 1 in your graveyard, in addition to the 3 mana to cast this card. Savage Gorger, it's a 1/1 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If this flying threat gets in overhead, so flying means a creature with flying can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. So what we call that is evasion. It's difficult for the opponent to block. So if they have a creature with those keywords on it. If this deals damage to an opponent, grows by a +1/+1. So this 1/1 can become a 2/2. Skeleton Archer, so it's a 3/3 enters, so that's an enter the ability effect. It deals 1 damage to any target. So you can deal 1 point of damage to creatures' opponents, to their face, planeswalkers, to battlefields, all those things. Zangir Vampire is a 4/4 for 3 black with flying. And whenever a creature dealt by this creature this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on. So if it happens to kill creatures your opponents control, this grows by a +1/+1 counter. Nightmare is 5 and a black flying. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of swamps you control. So swamps are your basic land that produce black mana. You're going to at least have 6 out to cast Nightmare. And so this would effectively be a 6 power, 6 toughness creature with flying. The more swamps you play out, the stronger it gets. And that is a static ability that's not in the form of +1/+1 count. Demon of Loathing, it's a 5 black flying trample. So trample is when a creature with trample deals excess damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking, it gets through. So if you your opponent happens to block this 7/7 flying trampler with a 1/1 flying creature, 1 point would get assigned to the creature with 1 toughness, and their excess, the remaining damage, goes through to the player. So that'd be 6 points of damage going to your opponent's face. Then the other text on this card reads, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player sacrifices a creature of their choice. So sacrifice, they have to willingly select one of their creatures to put in their graveyard. Speed of that is different, but we'll get into that. Those are all the creatures in the deck and non-creatures. So there are 2 further divisions here. There are permanents and non-permanents. Permanents are any cards that remain on the battlefield. Non-permanents are cards that once they get played, get put into the graveyard. Okay. So some example here of a permanent non-creature spell is an enchantment. This is an aura. Auras get enchanted to creatures. So that's the eligible target for that. And then enchanted creature has lifelink, and whenever a creature an opponent control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So we get to bake in this effect to any of our creatures that are eligible targets. So that'll stick around. Assuming the enchantment remains on the battlefield, that effect will always take place. Creature an opponent control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So that's an example of a non-creature permanent. There are non-creature non-permanents. So those are typically instants and sorceries. Sorceries are slow. You can only cast them during your main phase. Instants are fast. Cast them at any point on any player's turn, assuming you have the mana to do so. So we'll start with sorceries. And there's one here. Bad Deal. 4 and a black. Draw 2 cards and each opponent discards 2 cards. Each player loses 2. So this is what we would call card advantage. Throughout the course of the game, you're going to be drawing lands, playing out your lands, creatures, playing out your creatures. And then eventually, at this later stage of the game, you might be running out of cards. So this will help you draw cards and give you card advantage. And assuming at this stage of the game your opponent has 2 or more cards in their hand, they're going to have to get rid of them. So discard means they take cards from their hand and put it in their graveyard. So black will kind of have those type of effects. Gives your cards or your opponent's card disadvantage, give you advantage. And then instants, like I said, you can play at any time. We'll start at the low end of the mana curve. So Compound Fracture, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Gets an additional -1/-1 until end of turn. Each card named Compound Fracture in your graveyard. So we have 4 of these in the deck. That's the most you can have of any one card. If you cast the first one, it gives -1/-1. The second one, assuming your compound fracture is still in the graveyard, would give a -2/-2. So if a creature with 2 toughness or less has that effect put down on them, the -1/-1 counters, then it dies. And that actually gets around indestructible. -1/-1 counters. Just fun fact. So if you happen to have 2 of these in your graveyard, the next one you cast would give something -3/-3. Then if you happen to have 3, you would give the target -4/-4. Rule cut. It's a 1 and a black. Destroy target creature with power 2 or less. So you can effectively destroy or kill creatures with power 2 or less. So some of the smaller stat line targets. Unlikely aids, 1 and a black. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Indestructible is effects that say destroy. Don't destroy a permanent with indestructible. And if it's a creature, it can't be destroyed by damage. So if our 2/1 Vampire Opportunist gets the target of Unlikely Aid, it gives it +2/+0. So it would be a 4/1 effectively with indestructible. If something were to do 1 or more damage to this, it would not die. It can't be destroyed by damage. Murder, this is what we call removal. Simply reads destroy target creature. 3 mana, you can kill anything, typically on your opponent's side of the battlefield. But so that is a form of removal. So creatures, non-creatures, permanents, non-permanents. Sorceries are slow, instants are fast. Fast cards at any time. That is Cold-Blooded Killers. Nutshell. Alright, go first. We play our land, we have a 1-drop. They have 2/2. So again, we're probably gonna try to trick them. Reduce their 2/2 to a 1. 1/2 deals once. Sorry, our 1/1 deals 1 point of damage. Or 1 damage. 1 power did 1 damage to our 2 toughness creatures. Alright, we can do this again here. Their land, so we have 2 instant. Probably gonna cast Compound Fracture here. Back in. -2/-2. Oh, 2/3 becomes 0/1. Back in becomes 2. Pass. So, Unlikely Aid. This will give target creature +2/+0 and indestructible. Turn. Use that here. It can double spell. We're gonna try to out tempo and out value our opponent. So if they block aid, give this B2 indestructible. You want fire creature. They have more. We can keep doing that. It blocks on the aid. Alright, so we're moving creatures on their side of the battlefield, clearing the way for our back end. You us. Back end. Get our curve topper here. Tight mate. Flying. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of swamps we control. 6. Go to 7. So this is an activated ability. Each opponent loses 2 life and 2 life. Do that at our opponent's end step, so you can set a stop here. So now it's And since that, we can activate that. It does 2 damage to them. We gain 2. Now we take our turn. Oh yeah, that's a good demonstration of what I would call snowballing. So we reduced the stat line of our creatures. We kept removing their pieces, their creatures from the battlefield. Kept developing our side. So these small incremental advantages, they don't seem powerful at the time, but if we have enough on our side, it kind of, right? And these combat tricks really cleared the way, keeping their creatures graveyard rather than battlefield. Ultimately drew a payoff and then just got the game. When it casts a Zephyr Gull, a 1 flyer. Don't really have a good answer for that immediately. 1/1 Death Toucher. Would I offer a trade? Would have offered it for a flyer, but then back as a blocker. Now we have this guy out. Creature dies. Bro. So we get more value out of it. Still not great. Flyers overhead. They're drawing cards. Sec. We do want to discard. That I should have read the card. Card access land that we don't really. I'm gonna attack it. A lot of flyers here. Do it like this. This guy enters, it deals 1 damage. Do this, 2/1. That dies. Cold Blade. Cold Blade goes to a 3/3. Back in favorably. Alright, cool. So, deals 1 damage to any target, so creatures oftentimes target for that. A lot of flyers. Alright, do it again. Off our these creatures here. Our stat lines are bigger than theirs, so we back in for chump. So they sacrifice this creature with 0 power and toughness. Don't take the points of damage to the face. So we're down to 9, but I think we give creature as lifelink, and for an opponent control dies. So this keeps growing. It's already a 5. So all of our eggs in the basket, but I think sweet. So this matchup demonstrated the value of the Skeleton Archer, dealing 1 damage to any target. It had creatures with 1 toughness that were evasive, but to ping them off. Also gain value whenever a creature opponent control dies, put a 1 counter on this. So I grew our Malakir Cold Blade. You there. Got to the finish line. Hey there, cons. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you out there in the plane of Tarkir.